It's time for Jalen to waddle into your lineup. Week 9 wide receiver start sit coming up next. Week 9 has arrived, and the fantasy playoffs, believe it or not, are right around the corner. We're about 2/3 the way through the regular season already, and that means we need to maximize our lineups down the stretch. At the wide receiver position, Jalen Waddle is going to be a great start for your lineup this week. A wide receiver that doesn't have to worry about Will Fuller, who continues to sit on IR with a broken finger. Devonta Parker looks doubtful for this week. So a guy that since Tua came back in week 6, who's had 32 targets and 21 receptions in the last 3 games, is going to have even less worry about who he's going to have to share targets with. And that's great news for a guy who's going up against the Houston Texans, a team that has given up 5 touchdowns to the wide receiver position in the last 3 weeks. Match that up with what Tua has done for this offense. I know Tua's not amazing. I'm making him sound like, oh my God, dude, Tua's like been apparently awesome according to fucking Jesse. But no, when you talk about what Jacoby Brissett was for this offense in contrast to Tua, yeah, Tua's been very good for all of these skilled players that we were worried about. He was good for Devonta Parker. He's been good for Jalen Waddle. There is a connection there from their time back at Alabama. And it should continue this week. They have a beatable secondary in the Houston Texans. And I just like them to continue being a high-level wide receiver 3, high-level flex, maybe a guy that can break into that high wide receiver 2, low wide receiver 1 territory against the Texans. A wide receiver that is in a put up or shut up week will have to be Mike Williams. And I almost feel like you have to roll this guy out there based on what we know his upside is. When this guy is booming, by God, it's a double barrel fucking shotgun right to the fucking chest. Dude, it's like fucking in that Kill Bill scene where she takes the rock salt right to the fucking chest, man. Like, he is just amazing when he gets the targets. When he doesn't get the targets, his unpredictable target share is absolutely, it makes him want to pull your hair out. You know, those first 4 weeks of the season, you're just going, holy shit, I came away with the steal of the draft, right? Well, no. Week 5, he gets 16 targets. Week 6, he gets 5 targets. Unpredictable target share. 4 games with 7 or more catches. 3 games with 2 catches or less. It's as boom and bust as you get. Williams, are you the X receiver or not? Are you the guy that gets 10, 12, 13 targets every week or not? Man, we all been frustrated with Keenan Allen because he hasn't had those crazy boom weeks, but by God, Keenan Allen at least has been fucking steady motherfucking Eddie. Need Mike Williams to put up this week to feel safe about a guy that you could just kind of like throw in your lineup and feel really comfortable about it. Because right now, he makes you nervous. He's a gamble. He is a fucking gamble. He's a 50-50 proposition for you at the wide receiver position. 50-50 chance he goes wide receiver 1 on your ass. 50-50 chance he goes like wide receiver 56 on your ass. I mean, Jesus. Dude. Fuck. Up and down, up and down, up and down. Let's stay up. Those first 3 weeks were so great. Can we get back to that, please? Jesus. Anyways, 70% started. 70% of you out there still trust this guy to be in your lineup. Will that be the case after week 9? Sure as fuck hope so. But he needs to put up this week. I do think that, 70% is a good mark for Mike Williams. I do think he is in a position where he should be able to succeed if he really wants to. Right? But, will he? So, a guy that I know is going to be in a position to succeed because dude's been succeeding all year long. Currently, only 50% started. Marquise Brown. Hollywood is back on my channel. Dude, this motherfucker almost lives here. Talk about this guy all the fucking time, but I mean, he's wide receiver 11 right now, and yet for some reason still only 56% started coming out of the bye. Well, Jesse, Rashad Bateman's there now, brah. Rashad Bateman's gonna be the number one. He's gonna siphon targets. How's Marquise Brown gonna get 12 targets a game with Rashad Bateman there? And dude, didn't you hear, bro? That Sammy Watkins, bro, man. Dude, that guy's coming back, man. They're gonna have Rashad Bateman and they're gonna have Sammy Watkins. I don't know if you've heard of this guy though, too, dude. This guy, fucking Mark Andrews, bro, he'll be there too, man. It's gonna be a fucking party, and Hollywood's gonna be left out, because how's Hollywood gonna get fed with all them mouths to feed? Well, I can just go back to, it was in my stock report earlier this week. Hollywood Brown needs fucking 6 targets every week. If he gets 6 targets, he's virtually a lock for a long touchdown every single week this season. 7 games. Hollywood's been open for a long touchdown. We all remember Detroit. If Detroit went down a different way, we'd be talking about a wide receiver with 2 more touchdowns on his resume. And then the other game that he doesn't have a touchdown in, because there's only 2 games, so he scored touchdowns in 5 of his 7 games this season. The other game he doesn't have a touchdown on, overthrown by Lamar Jackson. On a guaranteed, basically, long touchdown. Dude's open every game for a long touchdown. I do mean legit, like a 40-yard bomb every fucking game. And Lamar has the ability, and he is more consistent to hit Brown on those targets downfield. Bateman, Watkins, fucking Andrews, all of these guys help Brown out. You can't focus on Hollywood. You can't focus on Andrews. You can't focus on Bateman. You focus on any of these guys, one of the other ones will hurt you undoubtedly. And the way that Greg Roman uses this offense, he's one of the best offensive minds at setting up a game plan for one play, setting up another play, for setting up another play. Why the fuck do you think Marquise Brown is always open? One, he's a good route runner. He's fast. He's quick in small spaces. But Greg Roman draws up these plays and situations to get Brown open for long touchdowns. Period. And when we talk about since basically coming out of the bye week in 2020, Brown and Lamar Jackson have been on the same page, and they have been on fire, and he has been a top 10 receiver, period, since they're coming out of the bye in 2020. Now we're coming out of another bye. I really feel like this is one of the best teams at getting on the same page, taking their game to another level during a bye period. I'm really excited for what Hollywood's going to do the second half of the season. I'm excited about for Rashad Bateman. I think that this is going to be a really fun offense. We've seen it starting to take more steps towards the passing game, and that's not going to change this week. I really like Marquise Brown. Great start. Great start coming out of the bye for you guys. Jarvis Landry, another guy. Good. He's the drama has left town. Odell Beckham. We'll look to see who claims him off waivers. I imagine somebody will claim him off waivers, and he's not going to just get to sign with whatever team he wants to. But we'll see who claims him off waivers. We'll see where he goes. And in any other case, Jarvis Landry doesn't have to fight for those targets anymore. And Jarvis Landry has been dinged up this year, but should be good to go this week. Is the undoubted number one at the position now in this offense. Vacated targets. Some of them should shift towards Landry. Going against a Cincinnati defense that is vulnerable against the pass. Jets wide receiver scored 51.2 PPR points in week 8 against Cincinnati. Again, the Jets wide receivers scored 51.2 PPR points in week 8. That's absolutely terrible. That's a terrible offense, and Cincinnati's defense isn't terrible, but they are not good. And I do believe Cleveland will be able to take advantage of them this week. And I believe Landry is a big part of that. He's a wide receiver in week 7 and week 8, has 18 targets between those 2 weeks, averaging 9 targets a game the last 2 weeks. He should be up in the double digits. I would expect anywhere from 11 to 13 targets this week for Jarvis Landry based on his target share and the exodus of Odell Beckham Jr. Donovan Peoples-Jones should be coming back, should be involved. I think he is an interesting DFS play this week. He's definitely a guy that you should have on your watch list, and I think he is another guy that has a possible good week as well. But Jarvis Landry is in a prime position to succeed, be a really solid wide receiver too, high-end flex for you, great play, and a good matchup against this Cincinnati secondary. Somebody that probably I never thought was going to be in my beware section, but you really do need to think twice. I'm not going to tell you to sit this guy. There often are sometimes the best players are even better on a leg and a half than a bench player. But DeAndre Hopkins, 87% started currently on ESPN leagues, is currently a game time decision with a hamstring injury, coming off a game where he had 2 receptions. Granted, first reception really helped you not totally suck in week 8, nuke, but this is a wide receiver who has typically understood his body, been able to play through injuries, but when you're in a game, just like he was last week, and you're trying to put a move on a defender, you don't think, oh, I can't do this, and you don't do the move because you don't want to strain that hamstring, and he did that on the first target that he got in the game, which knocked him out for a majority of the game until Arizona was really trying to come back against Green Bay last week. And to make matters worse, Kyler Murray, also a game time decision with an ankle injury. And we've seen that when Kyler Murray is injured, this offense doesn't quite hum. We saw that last year when he injured his shoulder. Different injury, I understand that. But a mobility is a big part of Kyler Murray's game. Ankle, big part of your mobility. And if Kyler Murray can't be mobile, Kyler Murray is going to have a hard time being Kyler Murray. So that is a worry, a concern. We're talking about a wide receiver, a guy who's normally a wide receiver 1, who's fallen to that wide receiver 2 status. Now he's got a hamstring injury. Now he's got a quarterback with an ankle injury. Hopkins is yet to have a game with 100 receiving yards this season. Just the one thing I will say, is Hopkins' second best game of the season came against San Francisco in week 5. Second best game against San Francisco in week 5. Closest he got to 100 yards. He scored a touchdown. I think he had something like 6 receptions, 86 yards for a touchdown off the top of my head. They're not in my notes. But I knew though it was something like 20.2 points, 20.6 points, something like that. It was a good game for him. So it's not the matchup I'm worried about. It's the hamstring I'm worried about. It's the quarterback situation I'm worried about. Should you start Donovan People-Jones over DeAndre Hopkins? Fuck no. I would think about Christian Kirk though. When you think about AJ Green on the opposite side, already been declared out. DeAndre Hopkins with a strained hamstring. And Christian Kirk, last I looked, was available in about 60% of ESPN leagues. So he's a guy that you could maybe turn to if you're not feeling comfortable about DeAndre Hopkins. You still have to worry about a hobbled Kyler Murray, though. And he was not able to take advantage of the situation last week when DeAndre Hopkins only played about 25% of the snaps. So there's a lot to worry about, a lot to beware when it comes to Nuke in week 9. Another wide receiver to beware, Devonta Smith, Philadelphia Eagles, 30% started, so most people on board with this one. Most managers have this guy on their bench. A lot of this has nothing to do with talent. We understand this guy is a slick route runner. He's very, very proficient at catching the football. You know, this guy won a Heisman at the wide receiver position. He's damn fucking good. However, he has to worry about subpar QB play. Jalen Hurst has been very up and down this season. Week 1, he had over 70% completion percentage. He looked damn good. He's also had 4 games where Hurst has below 60% completion percentage. That's terrible. If you're completing less than 60% of your passes, you're not a good quarterback. 50% of the time, Hurts not completing 60% of his quarterbacks. In fact, he had 1 week where he completed 46% of his passes. Wide receiver needs a quarterback to get him the ball. Doesn't matter how talented he is. If a quarterback can't get him the ball, he can't run into the end zone. Speaking of getting in the end zone, he's only done it once in 2021. So we have a wide receiver who scored 1 touchdown in 2021. He has 1 game in 2021 over 100 yards. And only 3 games with 6 catches or more. So this guy's supposed to be a PPR maven. But so if you're getting catches, you don't have to worry about the yards. You don't have to worry about the touchdowns. But fuck, over 50% of the time, this guy isn't getting catches. He's not getting catches. He's not getting touchdowns. He's not getting yards. And now you get the LA Chargers, who are absolutely awesome against wide receivers. They're the number 1 defense against wide receivers in fantasy, and that includes them having a bye week, folks. That's good. Or, in this case, bad for Devonta Smith. They're terrible against the run, so it's, to me, this should be more of a similar game plan to what we saw last week, where they ran the ball all over the fucking place. They barely passed the ball. Smith was barely involved. and anybody who used them had a real bad taste in their mouth. And I can see a repeat of week 8 in week 9. I don't want anything to do with Smith. He is on one of my rosters, and he will not be in my lineup. I am not interested. I will look elsewhere. Thank you for watching. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you have any start-sit questions of your own, you can text them in on Sunday morning. I will be on 1080 The Fan here in Portland, Oregon, with Mike Lynch and Rashad Taylor for the Fantasy Scramble. We answer start-sit questions for a half hour leading up to kickoff, so 9:30 a.m. Pacific time. Start sending in those start-sit questions to 503-250-1080, and you can listen live on Odyssey.com. I will have a link down below in the description. Thank you again for watching, and make sure that you catch my Week 9 running back start-sit episode.